Let's head on over to the scrap room today and talk about ways to set yourself up for success. Hello everyone, welcome to or welcome back to my channel, Snips by Kelly. For those who don't know, I'm Kelly and we're having a casual day today in the scrap room. So today we're going to talk a little bit about my strategies and some tips and tricks that I use to be able to set myself up for success when I'm creating a workshop or when I'm preparing for a crop. So those of you who follow me know that I created a 12-page Disney-themed scrapbooking workshop, and I posted last week before leaving for the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip about my gratitude of earning that trip and all of your roles in helping me earn that trip. And I have good news. The free guide is complete. You will now be able to find the link to download the free guide to create all 12 of my Disney-themed pages. When you click more in this video, it'll be in the description. It will also be in the previous video that I created, which was a full process video creating all 12 of these pages. And you will be able to see that link to download the free guide in that video as well. If you missed my full process video, I will link that in the description as well. But I've had lots of questions and lots of people who are new to scrapbooking wanting to know how to start, where to begin, how to prepare to cut one of my workshops or any workshops for that matter. And I have some tips and tricks for you today, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways on how I prepare. So the first thing is, and it sounds silly, but be comfortable. So there's nothing worse than sitting all day at a crop and being in uncomfortable clothing. So I typically am very casual. I am not a fancy person. So I dress in sweat clothes or comfy clothes, stretchy pants, leggings. There have been a few crops where we've even worn our PJs, but typically jeans and a t-shirt. I scrap very comfortably. The other thing that sounds silly for me to mention is cover your drinks. So if you're having your favorite beverages, and I'm telling you as the voice of experience that I have spilled everything all over my amazing pages, and so definitely keep your drinks covered at your station. Now you can see here I'm at kind of a really old table that's very long. It has great space. Many times I've thought that I've needed to upgrade this table, but I love it. It's solid, it's sturdy, it has so many nicks out of it, and it is a create table. But don't worry, if you don't have a long table like this, there's a lot of strategies that I'm going to show you that you can try that will work if you're a kitchen table scrapper, or if you have just a little nook where you scrap, or if you're at a crop and at that crop you just have a small table that you're sharing with someone else. So what I've done here on my long table when I get ready to do a workshop is I create a pile for every layout that's going to be created. So it doesn't matter if you're creating an elevated workshop like the Disney workshop, or if you're creating something smaller. So let's say you're going to create one of the Stampin' Up! 6-page workshops. You're going to have 3 piles, because it's 3 2-page layouts, and then you'll have 1 extra pile for your extra cuts. And I'll show you that in a little bit more detail, but you could be doing a 6-page company workshop. You could be doing a 10-page simple scrapbooking workshop of mine, or a more elevated that takes the whole crop weekend workshop like my Disney themed workshop. It's a little more heavy lifting. So it doesn't matter what level of a paper crafter you are, it only matters that you have a system. So over here, because the Disney workshop, the Disney themed workshop is 12 pages, I have a layout 1 pile, a layout 2 pile, a layout 3 pile, layout 4, layout 5, layout 6. I have my cutter, my scissors, my ruler, my pencil, and then I have an extra pile. Now, what I do as I'm cutting, I put all of the pieces as I cut them into the piles. And then if I'm doing it right away, I may even use my Junk Gypsy tray. Many of you have seen me use my Junk Gypsy tray. I do get lots of questions about it. It is a galvanized chick feeder from my ranch. So it's repurposed to be able to use and put all my bits in it and organize them. But don't despair if you don't have a galvanized chick feeder sitting around. The Hobby Lobby has knockoffs and they're almost identical. Really the only difference is I think that the Hobby Lobby version maybe has some rubber pegs on the bottom, and the original of course didn't have rubber back in the day. So you can't really tell the difference, but when I'm fussy cutting pieces or they're smaller pieces, if I'm gonna assemble right away, I will organize like layout 1, 2, 3, 4, such as that in the Junk Gypsy tray that you've probably seen if you've watched my channel. Now, what do I put these in? I really try not to bring more plastic bags into the environment than what are already here. But I do have some that I recycle. So I recycle 12 by 12 bags or all kinds of bags. I also recycle small embellishment bags, and then I do get some sealable bags for like my cards and smaller bits from clearbags.com. So I do that, and then I also sometimes get the really larger envelopes to put the whole bags or envelopes, sealable envelopes, excuse me, to put the whole workshop in when I'm done. So once I have my piles, I keep them in those piles so that when I'm going to a crop, I can simply pull those piles out. Now, what I will do first is I will take the workshop, and hopefully I'll have a chance when the video is over, maybe, or on a separate video, to show you all my Disney themed pages with the photos on it. Ended up being so fun. I even got Donald. I was so happy. So I will take the workshop guide, and if you've never done a Snips by Kelly guide, they're very similar to anyone else's guides or to the company guides. But when you open up the guide, you'll see all the little legal information and then a supply list. So what I do is I pull out all of the cardstock that it says in the supply list that I need. It'll say what the base pages are for each layout. So if layout number 1 says that you need 2 frames, I know that I'm going to cut those. Layout 2 says the 2 background are 2 black cardstocks. Layout 3 are 2 white cardstocks. Layout 4 is a turtle frame. Layout 5 are 2 white cardstocks. Layout 6, 2 black cardstocks, and so on and so forth. I first lay out all the background pages. Then I go and I put all the papers in order according to the guide. So the guide is going to get cut. You'll see little diagrams here. Let me just move forward. You're going to see lots of little cheat sheets on the guide. You'll see Cricut cutting on this one because this one happens to have Cricut cutting. So we'll talk a little bit about organizing your Cricut bits in a little bit. But here is an example of how you're going to cut. So you can see the paper will show on the bottom of what paper you're going to put in what order. So I put all the pattern paper and all the cardstock in the order that it's going to be cut in the guide. And that really helps me to get to the first page of the guide, cut that page according to the instructions, and each one is labeled L1, L3, L3, and there's a cheat sheet. So L1 means layout 1. So as I cut, layout 1 piece goes here. Anything that has the numbers on it goes into the corresponding piles. Also, when you get through the guide, there will be probably some die cutting depending if you're doing an advanced workshop or not. There will be die cutting, there'll be fussy cutting. And so when you get to like some of the die cutting or the fussy cutting pages, so let me show you some examples. here is a page here that shows the suitcases that need to be cut for the Disney. And it says which layout those suitcases go on. Sometimes I will grossly cut those pieces out and keep them in the bag that they're supposed to go in. Sometimes I have time to fussy cut them all the way. But if I have them in the corresponding bag and I decide I want to sit down with my husband and watch a Lifetime Network movie, I can sit with my scissors, I can take my layout one bag and just fussy cut all my layout one pieces and put them right back in the bag. Same with die cutting. There will be a die cutting cheat sheet in here. And so when I get done and I've got all of my straight cutting pieces into the pile, I'll go over to my die cutter, bring my die cutter over, and I will follow the instructions on die cutting, and I will put those die cuts in smaller bags and put them with the corresponding layout. It makes life so easy when you get to a crop and you're pulling out your bags and all you have left is to visit with your friends, laugh with your friends, drink your favorite beverages, and assemble. It's so wonderful to be able to get your pages together. Now, even if I'm not going to a crop, I use this same method of madness because it really keeps me together. I'm not losing parts and pieces. They're not on my rear end. They're not on my sock. They're all where they need to be. Back to that fussy cutting, I was going to show you when I talk about grossly cutting. So there are some vegetables that need to be cut for this. So I might grossly cut them out and get them in the proper bag. If I'm going to assemble right away, I will fussy cut them out and put them in the junk gypsy tray. Now, what to do if you don't have this great setup at home and you have a smaller space? Let's go over to my small space over there and I'll show you a couple ideas on how you can make this work really well, the same system, if you don't have any space. So let me head on over there and I will come on over here. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. So this little area here, do I need to move this?
There we go.
Let's move that out of the way here. So if I'm over here in my regular workstation, I could do a couple things. At a crop, if you've got a little narrow crop space, you can actually use file folders. Now the file folders, depending on what you're keeping them in, if you're laying them on the table or if you have a container, you can have the 12 by 12 pieces sticking out, or you can use the file folders and you can put your smaller parts and pieces in the file folders and have a different pile for your bases. But this kind of keeps you together. You could use a little cardboard box, you could use a container, you can have your file folders on the desk and just have those there. Another thing that I like to do, the file folders work great, like at a crop, but I also use the Cato Scrapbook storage organizers. I use these for everything. I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get any kickback for using their folders, but I use those for tons of my paper storage, my scraps, my leftovers, and they're nice, sturdy, clear envelopes. And so again, same concept. I have all of those labeled L1, L2, all the way to L6, and then an extra. I always have an extra, and I always have a trash bin under me. Or if you have a crop, usually you have your bin attached to the table, or a paper sack or a plastic sack attached to the table. Because as I'm cutting, if it's extra, it goes in the extra pile. If it's trash, it goes in the trash pile. And then these work fabulous because 12 by 12s fit inside these Cato bits and pieces. So a small area, even half this size, if you just have enough room to cut and you're able to stick your pieces into your envelopes, it works fantastic. So I hope that these tips and tricks have helped you to be able to set yourself up for success, whether you're creating a 3-page workshop, a 6-page workshop, a 12-page workshop. Be sure that you allow time. If you are going to do the elevated Disney workshop that I'm giving away for free, and the link is in the more button, if you click the more button, allow time for that one. That has some heavy lifting and it has Cricut cuts. And I didn't talk about the Cricut cuts, but often if there's assembly of die cuts or Cricut cuts, I do that assembly from the beginning. So once the Cricut cuts are cut, once the die cuts are made, I will often assemble, or if there's inking or anything like that, I will ink those and I will assemble those ahead of time and put those in my Junk Gypsy tray or put those in the corresponding envelopes, because it makes for such a fun retreat or crop when you go to. But back to the Sparkle and Shine. If you're going to do the Sparkle and Shine workshops that are more elevated and you are a newer scrapbooker, these are designed more for time. A whole weekend retreat would best be served for an elevated workshop. If you're going to do a 6-page company workshop or a Simply Scrappin' workshop, you could probably do that in a day, or maybe even an evening if you're doing the company workshop, but it's a great place to start. I learned how to scrapbook on the company workshops because they're very easy to put together. They teach little tidbits of technique at a time, a little bit in small doses, and it works out wonderfully to be able to start out small and then add your own creative license and change things up as you go. I hope these tips and tricks were helpful. Stay tuned for more right here on Snips by Kelly. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.